Did you see? Have you heard? No, I had not heard. No one has heard because this game didn't get any marketing and then it got shadow dropped on a Wednesday, nestled between bigger title releases. But it's okay because you've heard now. Penny's Big Breakaway is the odd name of this brand new original 3D platformer from the studio that brought you Sonic Mania. That may or may not get you excited, but because I love 3D platformers, I'm not letting this opportunity to talk about one slide by. So let's dive in, shall we? Meet Penny, a classic mute protagonist that wants to participate in the gala. Gala? Is this one of those words you can say both ways? You know, actually, I don't care enough to look this up. Penny finds some magic string in a back alley, which leads to her yo-yo becoming sentient, and we're off to audition. And yeah, that's pretty much all you get in terms of motivation for the character, but let's be real, we're not playing a game like this for the story. So let's talk gameplay. This is a game with heavy emphasis on movement, more horizontal than vertical, but it's all there. Obviously, Penny can run and jump, but she's got more interesting mechanics because of her yo-yo. This magic sentient yo-yo opens up a lot of mobility options. First of all, she can ride it, which is nice because she's not exactly quick on her feet. This leads to pretty much exactly what you might imagine. Some cool skating sequences and sections heavily inspired by 3D Sonic games. She can also throw it out in any direction she wants, hitting enemies, collecting pickups, but perhaps most importantly, to use as an anchor for further movement. After throwing it out, the yo-yo, aptly named Yo-Yo, will stick in the air, and then Penny can pull herself towards it, resulting in a dash, or she can swing on it. And yes, you can do both in succession and in either order. You've also got a slightly underwhelming double jump to mix in, but all these moves combined actually give the player a tremendous amount of options, but more on that later. In terms of basic game objective, your goal is to get to the end of each stage. There's usually 4 stages per world, and there's a surprising 11 worlds. In each stage, you have 3 side objectives where you help out the citizens of wherever you may be with various things. This could be as simple as breaking some boxes with your yo-yo, or as complex as a time delivery mission where you can't break the object, sort of like the pizza delivery missions in Spider-Man. There's also 3 hidden pickups in each stage, which encourage you to look around and explore because each level has quite a few branching paths and alternate routes. Once you make it to the end of a stage, there's a 3-tiered platform. Your objective is to end each level by landing on the highest tier, because at the end, there's a minigame called Busker's Bonus, where you do some quick time events to increase your score, and the multiplier is based on the tier you landed on. Also, this is kind of a time attack and score game, and there's a combo system where you're heavily rewarded for speed. Okay, let's talk controls. So surprisingly, you really have only 3 buttons: jump, yo-yo, and ride. These are pretty self-explanatory. Jump, throw your yo-yo, or hop on the yo-yo. The control scheme I use maps the direction you throw your yo-yo onto your right control stick, which seems weird because your camera controls get moved to the D-pad. But shockingly, this game is mostly fixed camera. Even if you do try to manually control it, you can really only tilt it by like 5 degrees. So that's kind of a weird element that I can definitely see some people not liking, but I will say the camera works decently well. Besides that, the controls are serviceable. I really wish we had a button for interacting with stuff that wasn't the yo-yo button. Or I wish Penny picked up things automatically because there's some tension having multiple stuff mapped to one button, and there's no reason they had to do this because there's plenty of real estate on the controller. Visuals. Okay, so I absolutely love the graphical style of this game. I think it blends themes of old games like Nights and Dreams, or maybe even stuff like Chameleon Twist on the N64. But you've got super saturated color palettes combined with very simple smooth geometry that results in a highly plastic or maybe even candy looking world. The environments are packed with detail and visual clarity is quite high despite this. It's something I've been lacking in games recently. Now, although I love the graphical style, I'm less enthused about the character designs. The design of Penny herself actually seems really weak to me, and that bums me out because I want this game to succeed, and I feel oftentimes the success of a game or franchise like this is highly dependent on the visual of the mascot character. Now, this could just be a me thing, but it seems to be coming at an especially unlucky time because just months earlier, a really similar design that's arguably much better became extraordinarily popular, and I have to imagine it might overshadow a similar gesture archetype. The rest of the characters are alright, I guess. The random citizens are funny enough, and the other designs are memorable. Stop. Wait. You don't have to do this. You can just walk away. Alright, now let's talk about my experience with the game. I picked this up day 1, and I've been playing it feverishly for the past 2 days, so it definitely hooked me. But it's got a bit of a slow start. The first couple stages I was definitely enjoying the game for sure, but something felt missing. Penny feels a tad sluggish, and her air movements aren't super precise. This issue is worsened by the visuals making it somewhat unclear where you are in the air, making it difficult to land on platforms with a high degree of certainty. But then I realized I'm playing the game wrong. The game wants you to go as fast as possible, and once you understand how to maximize your proficiency with the controls, it'll feel much better. I didn't realize that momentum is preserved from your dash, so you can quickly dash, get speed, then hop on the yo-yo at that speed. This is sort of perplexing because the ride button has a second function, which is a peel out, and it's basically next to useless because you have to charge it up for quite some time, and it's just outright worse than dashing into Yo-Yo. But once I began to understand the depth of mobility, everything made a lot more sense. Penny's movement isn't about the micro, it's about the macro. If you're zipping around, you can skip entire platforms, and once you find out about the wall jump, you can also sequence break a ton of stuff. I started really enjoying myself just zooming around in the substantial offering of stages. However, now I have to drag out my big criticism that I always give to games like this. Same thing with Pizza Tower last year, but in a game with tremendous emphasis on speed and score attack, it's weird that to find all the stuff in each stage and do all the missions, you have to be going really slowly and carefully. These two things seem almost completely contradictory, and I don't know how to reconcile them. I guess the argument in their defense would be that you're supposed to do the first run slow and then come back and do the time attack / combo run, but in this particular game I had to surrender to my inner speed demon. I barely found any of the optional stuff in the stages in the later worlds because I was having too much fun trying to go as fast as possible. Oh, I forgot to mention what the optional stuff does for you. So the coins you get in every level can be used to buy one-time upgrades that will help you out on the next level. I never use these and they feel like mostly an afterthought. But the other main pickup lets you buy access to neat little challenge levels, which I will eventually go back and get all of. So the other main area that I think this game struggles with is the bosses. The most enjoyable of these for me are the chase sequences or racing ones. The very first boss is just running away from a giant ball of penguin, very Sonic style. And my personal favorite was a race with not Metal Sonic, but Puppet Penny. But the ones that are more traditional, hit this boss 3 times, they're just dreadful. Sort of because this game doesn't really have combat. For most of the game, there's only one enemy, the penguins, which mob you and eventually take you down if 5 of them grab you simultaneously. They're more of a nuisance than an actual threat, but I sort of disagree with them on a fundamental level because they slow you down when they grab you, the exact opposite of what I want in a game like this. Also, the game never really explains the combo system, and I only figured it out at the very end, that basically your combo is running the entire time you're not touching the ground directly, meaning riding around on your yo-yo and zooming around in the air is the optimal way to play. Music. The soundtrack is straight fire. A lot of these are going in a playlist because they are bangers. They also fit the theme of the worlds, which is fun. Final thoughts. So I'm rushing this video out because even though the game has flaws, I really want this game to succeed because I love this genre of games, and I actually think this particular one is really fun. That dirty little word. There are some definite flaws, but this is also basically day 1. So a lot of this could be fixed potentially. I sort of wish they had baked this game for another month and maybe advertised it a little bit, but nevertheless, I want to hype it up. There's tremendous depth to the controls and movements, and since there's a built-in time attack mode with leaderboards and all, if you're the speedrunner type, there's plenty for you to love here. If you're looking for a more relaxed platformer, this game will also serve you well because I love the vibe. There's a non-serious, happy ending story, the music is fantastic. I love the visuals, although I anticipate them rubbing some people the wrong way. For $30, I think this game is a great deal. And if you get it on sale later, it'll be a bargain for sure. There's a surprising amount of content, and after I'm done rushing this video out, I'm gonna go 100% it. Anyway, I'm just glad people besides Nintendo are still making 3D platformers. If you're interested in a love letter to some classic games, give this one a shot. Doom Profit out for now. See you next video.